Greetings, mere mortals, and welcome back to Monster Month.
Today, we're going back to Valor vs. Venom to bring you another one of Dr. Mindbender's experiments. Meet Razorclaw. This figure was released in 2004 with all original body parts. The first thing I thought of when seeing this figure was, hey, is that Metalhead? The color scheme and the look of the figure made me think that. Ugh, Metalhead.
I got it! Oh, see it burn! Kaboom!
It's like somebody walked over my grave. Could be literal in my case.
Luckily, this figure has nothing to do with Metalhead. He just vaguely looks like him. Now, let's address the most obvious thing about this guy. He's got swords attached to his arms. But, sad to say, these things are a huge disappointment. They feel very flimsy and stick out too much in their upright position. And that's only if you manage to keep the bloody things in position. The joints are so weak, the swords flail about most of the time. They are looser than Courtney Love on a coke binge. Another point of annoyance is the cobra emblem on the chest. It really should have been colored in. Speaking of coloring, the lighter gray on his belt clashes with the rest of the color scheme, which is a shame since the rest of the colors do look good. Overall, I can describe this figure using just one word.
Half-assed.
To further illustrate this point, I'm not even going to discuss his accessories, which are just a generic gun and rifle.
Fortunately, we are not done with the toys, as a second figure came out, in the very same year, no less.
Meet Razorclaw version 2, or as I like to call him, the apology for the first one. Now this is much, much more like it. Everything they did wrong with the first one, they got right here. The Cobra logo, colored silver for emphasis. The belt, same color as the other gray. And most importantly, those pathetic looking swords replaced with deadly cool looking blades that vaguely remind me of Klingon weapons. And the best part? These things stay in place. The joints connecting them to the arms are tight. Here is that perfect example of an average to poor figure redone right. And it was Hasbro that did it!
That fact alone would make me die of shock if I wasn't already,
Overall, the second figure is pretty much perfect and a fine addition to any collection. But what is it that makes this guy a monster?
Well, let's find out as we discuss the character, starting with the file card.
Before we get to the monster part, though, I feel we really should address the name, Razorclaw. You would think that with such a name, he would come with some damn claws. Instead, the first one gets these weak-ass sword things, while the second one gets blades that, if you squint real hard while being drunk, might pass as claws. Anyway, Razorclaw doesn't remember anything about himself from before he was experimented on by Mindbender. All he knew after the procedure was rage. As a result, he isn't so much deployed on a battlefield, but rather let loose in berserker mode. The experiments helped further in that department by dialing his pain resistance up to 11.
Ha! let's recap, shall we?
The guy has amnesia. He's been experimented on and given claws. He also has a high pain threshold. Well, that's almost like a healing factor, I suppose. So, yeah, this guy is frickin' Wolverine.
How very original!
Come to think of it, last week we had Sand Scorpion, who looks like Cyclops. Now there's this guy, and they are being led by a bald guy who's a scientist.
Hasbro, if you want to make X-Men toys, just make X-Men toys.
Moving on, this guy is a monster because his DNA was spliced with that of a wild tiger. Huh, so maybe he's more saber-toothed than Wolverine.
Same difference.
So it's a man mixed with a ferocious tiger. And we can see what that looks like.
Yes, mortals, there's something I didn't tell you.
That second figure actually has a removable helmet. So we can look on his horrible visage.
Behold and tremble, mere mortals.
It's just some dude.
Well, that's disappointing.
Hasbro, you almost had a perfect figure, and you fell at the last hurdle. Hardly the face of Monster Month, am I right? Like Sand Scorpions, Razorclaw appeared in those mini-comics packed with the toys. In his case, he takes on Snake Eyes, the poor bastard, and he loses, of course. Also, he has a chin that would make Bruce Campbell envious. The most interesting tidbit the comic offers is that he appears to be a civilian that went missing, implying he's an innocent man kidnapped and altered by Cobra. It is consistent with the file card mentioning he has lost all his memories.
Lastly, there's the Valor vs. Venom cartoon again.
Well, Razorclaw is in it, sort of. His character model is anyway, but there's a bunch of them, and they're called Razor Troopers. A different character entirely. The character model gets some cool fight scenes, but the only relation to the original is the fact that these troopers, in the movie at least, were also civilians captured and experimented on by Dr. Mindbender. And that was Razorclaw. Yeah, as far as the character goes, it's just Wolverine or Sabretooth, I guess, joining Cobra. And when it comes to the toys, well, a forgettable first figure, but a really excellent second try. If only the face had been a bit more monstrous.
Until next time, mere mortals. And remember, if it's claws, or a blade, or just a dinky sword, they'll all cut your throat just the same.